G'day runners, welcome to Running Alive. In this video we're going to talk taper, and specifically the taper for the Kilcunda half marathon. The concepts of the taper, you can apply it for almost any race distance at the moment. Now, all I've got to do is get this fatigue out of my legs and get myself feeling fresh for race day. So first up, the goal of the taper is to reduce fatigue while maintaining or even increasing fitness to allow for your best possible performance on race day. Let's say that again. Reducing fatigue, maintaining or increasing fitness to allow the best possible performance on race day. There's three main training variables that we can manipulate in order to reach our peak performance on race day. One is volume of training, the next is intensity, and the other is frequency. For the most part, we reduce volume, and you can cut volume by a lot for most people. Now, intensity, you want to keep that. You want to maintain your intensity, and if anything, maybe a slight increase. But we are still reducing the volume of all your easy runs, reducing the volume of your hard and fast training. The last variable, frequency. So how often you train. You don't really want to drop much. You can drop frequency of training by maybe up to 20%. And if we look at it this way, if you're training 7 sessions a week, you can probably drop 1 or 2 leading into your race. Now, training volume, how much do we want to reduce it? I like to go by the idea that we're reducing it down to 60% or all the way down to even 20% of your normal training load. So if you're averaging 100 kilometers a week, you can reduce it down to 60 kilometers and 20 kilometers. One thing to be careful of is basing that training volume on a 1 or 2 peak weeks. So in my case, I peaked at 91 kilometers, but my average was about 70 kilometers over the whole training period. And if I take out that 91 kilometer week, my average was about 60 kilometers per week of training. That's a big week. I needed to drop it back to the normal load to absorb that training. And then the final week is what I call my taper, where I substantially dropped the volume down to about 60 to 50% of my actual training. Now, what did I do with those sessions? Well, the easy runs, I just went out and ran them. I stopped taking notice of heart rate. Really, I just wanted the runs to feel pretty good. And as a result, the speed crept up a bit. I wanted to feel that pop in the stride, that good leg turnover. It was the feel of the running that was most important. These runs were short, like really short. And yes, the heart rate crept up just that little bit above 137 beats per minute, which had been my threshold for my easy runs. But the actual load of it overall, because the volume was reduced by so much, was not much. And if anything, I came out of these runs feeling way better. And for intensity, well, I really only had one fast session left, and I call it my peak 200s. Now, what happens in this session, it can vary, but I like just doing some 200 meter repeats a few days out from the main race. And that could be 10 times 200 meters at a comfortably fast pace and with a very easy 200 meter jog in between. Now, that was my original goal, but as it turned out, I ended up having a 14-hour shift when it was meant to be 12 and a half hours, and it really impacted on my sleep time. So instead of that, I took a day off, and the next day, bringing me closer to the actual race, I didn't really want to keep that volume up at 10 repeats. So took the dog up to the oval, went through some drills, got feeling good in a nice dynamic warm-up, and from there I estimated roughly 200 meters. Turns out it was 170 meters according to the Garmin. I just ran comfortably quick with a nice super cruisy recovery back to the starting point and repeated it. I did 6 of those. The speeds were faster than I originally anticipated, and they felt good. And at the end of this session, I felt like I was ready to race. I felt like I had just done best warm-up, ready for race day. Now, all that remains is 2 more days before race day. So those 2 days, super easy runs, nothing more than 30 minutes. All I do is I treat them basically as an extended warm-up. Once I start feeling good, I cut it. Done. Nice and easy, and then it's time to race. Now, one of the biggest problems that people do in a taper is they try and get that last bit of confidence, that last session where they push it, really test what they can do. But don't. The main point and where you get the main benefit from the taper is the reduction of fatigue. You might not gain any fitness, your fitness might even drop off a little bit, but your performance will feel even better if you err on the side of reducing your fatigue. Taper done and dusted. And that brings me up to race day. And that's the next video. We'll go through race strategy, how it all unfolded. Let's see what we can do on that first race of 2021. Keep on running.